Israel dominated the narrative so strongly. I mean, just the existence of Palestinians, just for Palestinians to prove that they even existed on the land in the first place, took decades. So by the time the PLO emerges when they were being brought up, my parents, the terrorist stereotypes and the lack of independent media, they're very gridlocked in this view of things, anti-Palestinian, which is very hard to get through. But it's been astounding to see how that has changed so dramatically within one generation. And the people in my age and younger, the vast majority are well aware of what's going on.
Visiting Palestine for some activists and interested people to have first-hand experience of the Palestinian situation and to explore Palestine as a land and the people is of high importance. To talk more about that, I have with me a member of the Scottish Palestine Solidarity Campaign, Mr. Ricardo Gonsalves. Welcome to our program, Mr. Ricardo.
Thank you so much, Osama. Happy to be here.
You're welcome. Ricardo, you were eager to visit Palestine and visit your Palestinian friends here, and now you are here. Tell me about your first impression about the Palestinian cities and the Palestinian communities that you have been to over the past 4 days.
It's been a really interesting and formative experience, being for the first time away from Europe and meeting actual Palestinians after so many years of reading and being disturbed and caring about the Palestinian struggle. On the first impression, going to Jerusalem first, it was good to see what looked like Palestinians prospering somewhat, especially in the old city, and just seeing a bit of a very successful one of the major attractions in the world, and seeing the preponderant role that Palestinians have in making it such an interesting, vibrant place. Bethlehem, there's a bit of the same with the Church of Nativity. There are places of very big importance where you contact with the Palestinians, and there is so it was good to see that side. There's a normality and there's a prospering, but very quickly in the experience some cracks starts showing up, be it firstly armed military with machine guns in the old city, or being that I came here also aware of the political struggles and taking a walk in East Jerusalem and seeing these big houses with Israel flags and full of cameras outside, looking at these settlements, and just getting just having a vibe that something is off. You know, so there's something underneath the surface, which just how should I say, becomes huge once you get to Bethlehem, and just 30 minutes, 20 minutes away from the Church of Nativity, where everyone goes, you have this enormous wall. And so a monument to what's really going on, and doesn't get to the tourist guides, I guess. So it's been a very interesting, formative experience, and a real pleasure also to to receive the Palestinian hospitality with the people I've met so far. Everybody is incredibly generous and open-handed with people coming in.
Yeah, you welcome, Ricardo, and this is one of the Palestinian traditions and a feature of the Palestinian culture, the warm welcome of their visitors. Now, when you were hearing about Palestine while you're in your homeland, in Portugal or in Britain, and watching the news and about the political struggle that you have already mentioned, and you talked about the wall, about the Israeli settlements, were you not afraid to come here and walk down the streets of the Palestinian towns and cities?
Well, I was aware that the conflict. My impression was that there is a normality, but conflict, because of the strain of the occupation and how artificial and made by force, it's easy. A spark lights up here and there all the time. But I was aware that this is one of the most important places in the world, Jerusalem, Bethlehem. So I was not afraid, but at the same time, I was also interested not just in coming here on a holiday or as a tourist. I wanted to do a little bit of that, but I also wanted to do something more meaningful, volunteering, and as an activist as well. So I knew I wasn't intending to get myself in danger, but I was intending to get away from my comfort zone, and that's how I ended up in one of these settlements. And through the help of some of my friends, I was introduced to a farmer whose land is being encroached on by settlers, and whose land has been, a significant portion of it has been taken away. I fail to remember the place, but in the outskirts of Bethlehem. And in that moment, I did find myself. He was telling me the story. It's the story of the land, the story of generations past, how it was handed down from his father and father before him, and as he was just telling me the little indignities and the episodes of here's this shelter that was destroyed by Israeli soldiers at night. Here's this well that we use to farm our lands, in which settlers were bathing and swimming to make us disgusted and stop us from using the water.
Yeah, so Ricardo, your visit to Palestine these days enables you to have first-hand experience of the real situation of the Palestinians under the Israeli occupation and the Israeli settlers. And you're mentioning this story of the Palestinian farmers, which is the story of almost every Palestinian, whether a farmer or living in the urban areas. Now, the wall that Israel built inside the Palestinian land, inside the West Bank, is one of the major features of the Israeli apartheid regime. When you see the wall, what ideas come to your mind, if you tell me about that?
It's not so much ideas. It's just a feeling of dread. You know, it's something that's kept away from us for the most part, and it's a monument to the occupation. And I actually got to have a really good look at it. I toured it from different sides, and I saw a house built just 1 meter away from it. And so just a little house with a monstrous 5-6 meter wall right beside it. I saw the roads connecting the settlements through tunnels directly to Jerusalem, and it's the most visible infrastructure of this colonizing mindset that's behind the occupation and the current situation here in the country.
Yeah. Now, do you think that it is easy for the people in the Western countries, I mean Europe, North America, and also Latin America, people around the world, to understand the reality of the Israeli apartheid regime and the severity of the living conditions that Israel is imposing on the Palestinians without coming here and seeing the situation with their own eyes? Do you think the media is doing its duty to reflect this very human situation here, or they should come like just what you did yourself?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's not. The media is not doing a good job of reporting the situation. While there's been a lot of progress made, but it's not easy for somebody to simply turn on the news and have the actual reality of what's going on, because it simply is not told. It's always there's always this mantle of mystery and confusion that they put on top of things. If a Palestinian is killed, there's been conflict. There's been they use the term conflict. They use the term both sides. They use they phrase things in a way. When a Palestinian dies, it's like something happened. Who did it? How? When? That's not told. But whenever there's an attack on settlers or an attack perpetrated by a Palestinian, you know names, you know casualties, you know who did it, and it's completely spelled out to you, the condemnation. I will say that it is easier now because of the work of so many great academics and independent media institutions to learn about it, as I did, and which motivated my trip here in solidarity with the Palestinian people. But it's still not convenient. You have to go out of your way, and you have to be empathic to figure out that something is wrong and have a good critical thinking.
And this leads me to the question, as you are a member of the Scottish Palestine Solidarity Campaign, what kind of activities you organize back at home in order to make the Palestinian situation under the Israeli colonial regime visible to the people back there?
So I'm a fairly new member. I actually got in contact with the Scottish Palestinian Solidarity Movement on account of my trip, just to get in contact with activists and people who had been there and who could tell me the realities as specifically as possible, and to educate myself coming in. I was really impressed with I got in contact with Mick Napier, and I was astonished by his drive and his experience, having been in Palestine like over 15 times or something like that. He told me like the number 19 times, coming in here since the first Intifada. And so he had a wealth of experience to clue me in. In that space, right about a month and a half ago, up until now, I started getting involved and learning of the great work they've done, such as managing to boycott Israeli presence at the Fringe, which is the biggest festival, the biggest arts festival in Edinburgh, and one of the biggest in the entire world. So they managed to stop Zionists from participating. Now I've been learning of their plans to celebrate mark the event of the Nakba with a whole week of different events to educate people. And in this trip, I'm also trying to journal my experience and to gather as much footage as possible.
And how important these activities are when it comes to showing the young generation in the West, because we know that Israeli propaganda is very strong there, and Israel portrays itself as the only democracy in the Middle East. This is the mantra that they have been using for decades. Now, in the time of independent media and social media and people coming like you here and watching things on the ground, how important is this to show the young generation the reality of Israel as an apartheid, not a democracy?
It's absolutely crucial because I found that people from people older than me, from the generation of my parents, because they've been brought up at a time in which the media, Israel dominated the narrative so strongly. I mean, just the existence of Palestinians, just for Palestinians to prove that they even existed on the land in the first place, took decades. So, by the time the PLO emerges when they were being brought up, my parents, the terrorist stereotypes and the lack of independent media, they're very gridlocked in this view of things, anti-Palestinian, which is very hard to get through. But it's been astounding to see how that has changed so dramatically within one generation. And the people in my age and younger, the vast majority are well aware of what's going on, and the majority of them stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. So it's crucial to keep on doing that. And I think the future could be bright for the perceptions of Western people about this issue.
Yes, and Ricardo, my final question to you is about the hospitality of the Palestinian people that you mentioned at the start of our program, and how you feel as a foreign visitor coming to Palestine, meeting Palestinians, visiting his friends at their homes, going to Palestinian farms, meeting Palestinian farmers. So when you go back home, what you're going to talk about the human aspect of the Palestinians' life apart from Israeli apartheid, the killing, the political situation, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's inspiring. The kindness of the Palestinian people is absolutely inspiring. How people under so much oppression can be so kind and so generous. It's literally impossible to go out with a Palestinian person and pay for anything, and it's just the other day we were having dinner with a friend of mine from Portugal and a couple Palestinian friends, and because she's been here before and she already knows how it goes, she had to sneak out in the middle of the dinner so that she could pay for the dinner and not let the Palestinian friends get ahead of her. It's been very heartwarming and very inspiring. Absolutely.
Yes, Ricardo Gonzalez, member of the Scottish Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Welcome to Palestine, and we wish you a nice trip here. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Osama. Appreciate it.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. And from me, Osama Nazal. Have a nice time.